Some debts are never paid in gold. They are paid in soil and sweat. Every man carries a ghost, but some ghosts demand a garden. In the quiet coastal fog of France, an old man moves with a precision learned in the fire of 1944. He is not a thief. He is a soldier fulfilling a promise that the world forgot 80 long years ago. This is the Iron Oath. The liberation of Europe was not merely a map of tactical advances. It was a furnace of lead and thunder that forged the soul of the elite few. In June 1944, Elias was a 20-year-old paratrooper whose world had shrunk to the size of a muddy trench and the crushing weight of his heavy rifle. He had fallen into the chaos of the night, separated from his squad by the relentless lightning of anti-aircraft fire. Wounded and exhausted, his uniform soaked in the salt and grit of a continent at war, he collapsed in the ruins of a small stone cottage. The garden was a graveyard of broken roses and scorched earth, a victim of the artillery that screamed overhead without mercy. Madeleine, a young woman of unwavering moral compass, did not see an intruder. She saw a soul worth saving. At the risk of her own life, she dragged Elias into the cold safety of her cellar while German patrols echoed on the floorboards above like the heartbeat of death. She fed him soup made from thin air and hope, cleaning his wounds with the silent discipline of a saint in a land occupied by fear. For 3 days they existed in a pocket of shared humanity, amidst the hurricane of sacrifice. When the line finally moved forward, Elias left her with a fragment of a silk parachute and a solemn vow. He promised that if he survived the fire, he would return to restore the beauty that the iron storm had stolen from her soil. Elias survived the war, but the image of that ruined garden became a silent debt of honor that would haunt his quiet life in America for the next 40 years. Decades passed like the slow turn of a heavy wheel, and Elias built a life of peace, yet the duty of his iron oath remained a constant pulse beneath his skin. He worked the soil of his own farm in Virginia, but every time his spade struck the earth, his mind drifted back to the stone cottage near the English Channel. To his neighbors, he was simply a silent hero of few words, a man who respected the land and kept his tools sharp with military precision. But the Brotherhood of war creates a bond that time cannot erode, a lingering sense of duty that demands total completion. He watched the seasons change, but in his dreams he was always back in that cellar, listening to the artillery and the sound of Madeleine's quiet, desperate prayers. He spent 40 years studying the art of the earth, learning the language of flowers and the resilience of the oak tree. He was preparing for a final mission that required no weapons, only the unwavering moral compass that had guided him through the fire. He knew that Madeleine was still there, now a widow, living in a house that still bore the jagged scars of bullets in its stone walls. The garden he left behind was a tangle of thorns and bitter memories, a reflection of the trauma that stayed with every veteran who ever set foot on those bloody beaches. He saved his money, he planned his route, and he prepared to face his ghosts with a spade in his hand. He did not return to France as a tourist seeking applause. He returned as a shadow, ready to fight one last battle for the peace of a woman he could never forget. The air in Normandy carries the heavy scent of salt and ancient history, a dense atmosphere where the ghosts of the past still march along the jagged cliffs. Elias arrived in the dead of night, not with a suitcase of souvenirs, but with the heavy, functional tools of a man determined to settle a sacred debt of honor. He found the cottage weathered by 80 years of relentless coastal wind, its garden a desolate landscape of gray thorns and forgotten dreams. Under the silver, cold glow of a crescent moon, the 70-year-old veteran began his final, most important patrol. He did not knock on Madeleine's door. He did not seek recognition or a place at her dinner table. Instead, he relied on the silent discipline he had mastered in the infantry, moving with a rhythmic grace that defied his aging bones and the weight of the years. Every single night, while the small village slept in peace, Elias cleared the wreckage of the decades. He uprooted the thick briars that choked the soil, replacing them with the vibrant, blooming resilience of red roses and pure white lilies. His hands bled as they struck the cold, unyielding earth, a physical penance for the brothers he had left behind in the tangled hedgerows so long ago. He felt the invisible presence of the elite few standing in the dark shadows of the trees, a phantom brotherhood watching him fulfill a massive sacrifice of time, sweat, and memory. He was not just planting seeds, he was burying the lingering trauma of the war under thick layers of fresh, fertile hope. The unwavering moral compass that had kept him breathing in the fire of 1944 was now his only guide through the exhaustion of the midnight hours. He worked until the pale dawn threatened to reveal his position, retreating into the gray mist like a silent hero who had successfully completed his final objective without firing a single shot. The garden was no longer a graveyard of memories, but a living testament to a promise that had survived the passage of time. On the seventh morning, the golden, warm light of the sun broke over the English Channel, illuminating a stunning miracle of color and life where there had once been only dust and decay. The garden was a masterpiece of brotherhood and loyalty, a living testament to a promise kept across the vast, silent canyon of time. Madeline stepped onto her wooden porch, her eyes filled with the sharp blue intensity of a woman who had seen the entire world burn and slowly rebuild itself. She looked at the lavender, the jasmine, and the roses that stood like a colorful honor guard around her modest home. In the center of the bloom stood Elias, his posture regaining the strength of his youth, his back straight with the pride of a soldier who had secured his final sector. He reached into his pocket and offered her a small, fragile piece of faded white silk, the same fragment of the parachute he had left in her cellar 80 years before. In that singular moment, the decades of silence evaporated, and the cold, oppressive gray of the past was washed away by the vibrant reality of the present. They did not need the complexity of spoken words. The elite few understand that the most profound messages are written in the soil and the scars of a life well lived. Elias had bridged the gap between the boy who bled in her roses and the man who returned to heal them with his own hands. He had fulfilled the iron oath, ensuring that the beauty she had protected during the storm was returned to her with interest. His mission was complete, and as he looked into her eyes, he felt the crushing weight of 80 years of guilt finally lift from his shoulders, replaced by the serene peace of a debt fully paid. True honor does not fade with the passing of the seasons. It only grows stronger in the hearts of those who remain vigilant. Elias proved that a soldier's word is a sacred bond that outlasts time itself, a testament to the enduring power of brotherhood and the unwavering moral compass of the silent heroes who walk among us. His boots left the French soil for the last time, but his spirit remained rooted in the garden of the brave. If you are a veteran, or if you have someone in your family who served, please leave a simple thank you in the comments. Let's make this a wall of honor for those who never asked for one.